Welcome. Can you believe it? Two new Shenmue trailers dropped, an English and a Japanese trailer for the Shenmue anime. And we got a release date, February 5th. Now that's exciting. Now in the US, we're going to get it on Adult Swim. And Adult Swim is going to be on at 12:30 a.m., which I'm a little disappointed by because that's pretty late. But it's okay because on Crunchyroll, you'll be able to stream it whenever you want after each episode premieres, which is super exciting. And I just can't wait. But at the same time, holy moly, these trailers revealed a lot. Now this video is going to focus specifically on the Japanese trailer. I'll release another one in a couple days with the English trailer and finding the hidden details and secrets in these actual trailers that we can pull out, knowing what we know from the games and of course looking at how that's adapted to this series. So without further ado, let's jump right into each of the things that I noticed. And by the way, I watched this trailer and this is how I was able to pull this out. I watched it frame by frame because if they included it in animation, every detail counts. So we're going to go through it and watch it with me. Now let's get started. So the Shenmue trailer opens up with a shot from outside, slightly above, with Ryo already in the room with two men holding him back. Lan Di and Iwao are facing each other. It's obviously like raining outside, but it could be snowing. It's either one or the other, but obviously it's thunderstorms. We then move on to Iwao getting beat up with emphasis on what looks like the death blow from Lan Di. It matches the death blow from the video games with what looks like Ryo kneeling on the floor. Then Ryo's holding his father and bleeding from his cheek. When he originally walked in, he was not bleeding. It might be that Lan Di might have been the one to cut him. Next shot, we see Lan Di standing over Ryo. In the game, this is where Ryo was then picked up by Lan Di before Iwao tells him where the mirror is. Next shot, we see a Ryo arriving to his property, which I'm assuming that's the same day as when his father was murdered. However, it seems like it's snowing instead of raining. This could also be much later, but I'm not sure. His face isn't scarred or bleeding, so I assume this is like the same night that his father was murdered. Next, you get a shot overlooking the familiar neighborhood in Yokosuka as day breaks. Then we find Ryo walking through what looks like Dobuita Street, now sporting his trademark bandage. Then we see Chai attacking Ryo, asking for the whereabouts of the Phoenix Mirror. This first shot is too close for me to make out what the location is, but then the next shot shows Chai in the dojo running towards Ryo. In this fight, if you stop it right here, you can see that Chai went straight for the bandage which Ryo had on his face, which now leads me to believe that it definitely might have been Lan Di who gave him that scar. This was hinted to me by Oregon Pacifist, so credit must go to him. Next shot, Terry's sitting, talking with whom I would assume to be Lan Di based on the very next cut to Lan Di. However, it can honestly be Ryo, because why would he be warning Lan Di of danger when Lan Di is a dangerous man himself? Next shot is when Ryo is in warehouse number 8 at the harbor, while Master Chen is explaining to Ryo and Gui-sang about the mirrors. It then shows a cut of Lan Di holding the dragon mirror. This next shot is interesting because it's not in the games as far as I know, but it shows Lan Di looking out of a large window. It's fully furnished with a pair of chairs to the left, a sofa or nice looking seat to the right, and what looks like a coffee table in the middle. This theoretically could be a base of operations where Lan Di would speak to people from his quote-unquote throne on one end while they sit on the other chairs. It could lead to some interesting conversations, but I'm only guessing at this point. Camera then cuts to a different shot of him approaching, but a place that's got to be a different location due to the lighting, and it looks like it's nighttime. It doesn't seem to be the Hazuki Dojo either. Next we get Ryo in what looks like to be the warehouse area of the harbor, possibly fighting one thug. This is because these windows above seem to match the structure of the warehouses in that area in Shenmue. These next shots are quick, but this kick is given in what looks like a small home or apartment. If you stop the footage right here, you can see a couple of paintings and a few lamps. If you recognize who Ryo is kicking from the games, let me know. I could have dug into this further, but combing through Shenmue's long game is pretty time consuming in such a short amount of time. The next few strikes are all connected to this familiar warehouse brawl at the docks. This looks like a view from the side of Ryo walking down Dobuita Street. Then the next shot is Lan Di in his limo after he's gotten the one mirror from Iwao Hazuki. You can tell that this is the same night as he drives away from the Hazuki residence due to the fact that it's either snowing or raining in the background. Then it flashes back to him in what seems to be the dojo again. Next we cut to the Mad Angels holding weapons at night. I would bet that they're all banding together about to face Ryo and Guisang in the 70-man battle as they charge at them. Next we have this plate with an interesting figure on it. It reminded me of the Russia-China shop where you find Chow-sun who can read Chinese, but I do not know the significance of this particular plate. I tried looking it up. Then we have a quick shot of Terry of the Mad Angels before it cuts to Mark, who is the guy who teaches you how to drive a forklift in the games. He drives a forklift, then it quickly cuts back to Ryo actually fighting Lan Di. Now this is important because now you see the cut under Ryo's left eye. This must be where Ryo actually was cut. It seems he also at least got one swing in on Lan Di, which is more than what he did in the game. Next it shows a shot both of Ryo and Guisang after their epic fight, which happens in the games as well. Then we get a nice flashback of Ryo as a young boy with his dad telling him one day he will understand. I'd say they're outside near the cherry tree at this point. A similar flashback happened in the game in this area as well. Next we see a shot of where it looks like Ryo has sneaked under the dojo and found a photo of his father Iwao, laughing with a man who turns out to be Chao Sung-ming. Basically that's Lan Di's father, and that's allegedly the same man that Iwao murdered. If you look at the trees in the background, they appear to be similar to the type of cherry blossom trees that is found in Guilin. Then we cut to Ryo's eyes as he looks like he's waking up from either a stressful dream or being knocked out. Suddenly the shots cut to a forklift riding around in a warehouse before it gets to Ryo using a rotary phone. Now this phone is the phone that he used to call warehouse number 8 and where he found out the address using the phone book that was right there. Quick cut right as Ryo is about to approach the Heartbeats bar where he's looking for sailors. What's interesting is that they use the same logo for Heartbeats as what was in the game, but they've added additional graffiti which wasn't there. Also, that Heartbeat sign was on the floor in front of the bar in the game, rather than being above like it is in the trailer. Then it shows Ryo in the arcade with two biker guys. This is where Ryo asks about their tattoos in the game. Seems like they're possibly repeating that scene in the show as well. What's different though is that behind the guy with the vest should be where the store clerk is. Hang On is in the wrong place here. But it's pretty cool that the Sega license for these games is used in the series, which is awesome. Now this shot was like, whoa, this character is actually playing Virtua Fighter. This is super interesting, but this arcade layout was not in the game. U-Arcade was seemingly much smaller. What I noticed here too is that on the screen it shows Pai Chan versus Jackie Bryant, while the player screen shows Akira versus Jackie Bryant. Akira is the character who was the basis of Ryo Hazuki in the Shenmue games, and Jackie Bryant is a character that uses Chai's fighting style. All connected. As you may know, Shenmue was originally Virtua Fighter RPG before the whole project was changed to an original game separate from the Virtua Fighter series. Then we cut to Shenhua riding in a bike with Ryo as she did in the game after Ryo rescued her. I talked a bit about this in my last Shenmue trailer breakdown, which you can watch here. We then see Ryo using the handguard just like the other games, and then he's learning the move Double Blow from Yamagashi-san. Then we cut back to a shot of Shenhua in the mountains of Guilin, which then cuts back to Ryo putting his fists up. I would think this moment is back where he's fighting Chai again. Then it cuts back to Lan Di where it looks like he's on a boat approaching Hong Kong already, thanks to the large buildings you see in the background, which looks different from the harbor at Yokosuka. Cutting back to a super close-up of Ryo again as he fights Chai. This scene is represented a lot in these trailers. Then this super punch shot is probably earlier in the fight since Ryo still has his bandage on, or it could be from a different fight in the dojo since they could have just cut two scenes that made it look like it's part of this one trailer. And that's it. That's the Japanese trailer. Now I still have the English trailer to go through and then we'll do a similar breakdown because it shows completely original shots. That should be up in a couple of days. I mean, this video was long enough kind of analyzing all of the shots here, so I had to break it up in two. And of course, while doing that, I also had to wear my forklift racing shirt that was given to me by someone I love very much and I miss very much as well. So thank you for that, and I'll probably wear this shirt for the next video too as I break it down. But thank you. Subscribe so you can see that next video coming up as well, and you'll hit that bell so you can get the notification when it happens. And as always, you'll make my day if you subscribe today. This is Magnus, and I'm out. I'm almost really close. As I'm recording this, I'm like 10 subscribers away from 1,000 subs. Hugely excited, so thank you to everyone who subscribed, and I'll see you next time. Here we go.